Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and a very warm welcome to Mexico City for round 3 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. For the final time this weekend, we go racing once again. My name is Paul Jeffrey, up here in the commentary box, and down on an increasingly pleasant pit lane and grid is the one, the only, Alex Legui. Look at that one, set up in full Mexican flair is our Alex, down there on the grid, ready to find out all the drivers have to say. So without further ado, let's head down onto the track with Alex Legui.
Todos. Hello everybody, welcome to Mexico City. Here we are, it's the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour ahead of race 3. My friends, this is not just a race weekend, this is a celebration of Mexican culture. This is a party. Look here, we have these Catrinas Contemporanos joining us on the grid. We have these lovely little grid kids, let's call them. The atmosphere down here is absolutely electric. Race 1 and race 2 were formidable, and if you haven't watched them already, you need to. TCR TV. But don't go yet, because we've got race 3 to happen. Now, race 3 grid is determined by the qualifying results, plus race 1 and race 2 results. Therefore, Esteban Guerrieri is on pole position. He absolutely nailed race 2. He started in P7. He fought like a true champion and took the top spot. But look, he's absolutely surrounded by these blue Lincoln Co. sharks who are going to be hunting him down. Ted Bjork is desperate to get that top spot, as is Jan Erlache and Santi Urrutia. Now, we've seen how strong these boys are and how there is no team orders. Let's go and speak to these boys over here. Jan, sorry, gents, I'm just going to interrupt you. We've seen how feisty you boys are. We know that there's no team orders. You're protecting each other, but you're also ready to fight, right?
Yeah, we are. We are actually. So, yeah, it's going to be intense. Esteban has some pace. We have some pace. We show it the last 2 races. So, looking forward, you know, the run to T1 is very long and unpredictable, like the braking. So, yeah, we will try to make a good start, first of all, not like yesterday. and the rest, we will see.
So, poor old Esteban yesterday and Jan, they really struggled off the line. Now, we're at 2,200 meters above sea level. Altitude is affecting the engine performance, particularly for BRC Hyundai and Squadra Corse. Poor old Norby, Michael, Bebu, they are right the way down there. They're like sitting ducks. Poor old Michael in race 2, he tabbed pole position, but he could do nothing with it. Now, I was hoping that I'd be able to speak to Esteban Guerrieri, but where he's gone, I've got absolutely no idea. Maybe he's back. No, never mind. Okay, let's keep driving past the... let's go and have a chat to Michel Jourdain. Local hero. He's doing really well this weekend. Here we go. Once again, you're right in the thick of it. When we spoke earlier, you said it's not easy fighting against these top TCR drivers, right?
Yeah, these guys are so good, and the teams. So yes, we are very proud to be, well, not in the mix, but kind of trying to get in the mix.
Just how is it to be here racing with the World Tour, but here on your home soil? The atmosphere here is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have so many fans come in and see. You know, we are very lucky in Mexico to have races like this, and for me to be able to be part of it, it's just very cool.
Vamos. Vamos in Mexican?
Vamos.
Oh, it's the same. Okay, of course, makes sense. I'm trying to learn Mexican. I'm not doing a very good job. This side is Mexican, this side is still very English. Right, who should we speak to now? Let's head back up that... Oh, no. Yeah, let's head back up that way. Let's see if we can speak to Esteban. It'd be really nice to grab him. So Esteban, he has been fighting. Those of you who have been following his career, he's the nearly man. He has tried so many times over the last few years to get that title. His last win was in Uruguay. can't remember which year. So taking the top spot today was huge for him. Right, there he is. Come on, Yves. Sorry to make you run, my friend, but we're going to grab you before you hop in, Esteban. So you, sir, are surrounded by the Blue Sharks of Link & Co. We don't want a repeat, please, of yesterday's race. How are you feeling, and how tricky is it going to be to hold off these Link & Co boys?
The most tricky moment is to do my shoes properly.
I saw that.
You look very Mexican, yeah? Look at you.
Only half of me.
Yeah, only half of you. Yeah, I mean, you can see, they are all around me, but we are first, so they have to work to pass me during the race, and I have to defend. So part of the racing, and I know they normally drive clean, and let's try to play it fair, you know. So then go racing and let's have fun.
You are now at the top of the standings. Does that add an awful lot of pressure, or do you feel no?
No. I mean, pressure is always there. I like to call it more responsibility rather than pressure, and we are doing a responsible job. We try to maximize every single opportunity and enjoying this weekend, because now the crowd is here. The Mexican crowd is here to enjoy. So really nice event. I normally see this one in the TV in F1, and to be here in the car, it's a pleasure. So let's enjoy it.
As you can hear, this is the national anthem that's happening right now. We've had drift racing, we've had celebrity racing, we've had drift. Come this way, because I'm going to speak to. It is now the national anthem.
Profanar con su planta tu suelo, pienso patria querida que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. ¡Viva México!
Incredible. Now, I just want to have a little chat to one of our Catrinas contemporanos. See? How is it to be here, part of the World Tour?
It's amazing. Everybody should be here. Come back next year. It's wonderful.
Talk me through this. This is the true Mexican tradition and culture, right?
Yes, this is the authentic Mexican tradition. It was originally was established by Jose Guadalupe Posada, but now we're using Catrinas more on the contemporary style, which is what we're showing today.
You look absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. ¿Qué tal? Muy bien?
Bien.
Bien, bien. This is so cool. So, not only have we've had celebrity races, we've had drift displays, we had an incredible bike display, we've got the gorgeous Catrinas, and we finished the day at a brilliant 90s pop concert. I mean, this is just fantastic, isn't it? Most importantly, it's almost time for race 3. These boys are ready. They'll be focusing now. Anything can happen this weekend, and this could be a really determining race that will set the precedent for the rest of the season. Esteban Guerrieri has managed to score a lot of points this weekend, but these blue boys are not going to make things easy. It's going to be a great race. Make sure you're watching. Keep watching TCR TV. Check out race 1 and race 2 afterwards as well. For now, Paul, it's over to you.
Absolutely fabulous stuff. Really enjoyed that one. Great stuff. Alex Le Gouy down there on the track, on the grid, just before we go racing. And just a second, what Alex has mentioned there at the top of the show, the atmosphere here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit is absolutely electric ahead of this final race. The crowds have come in number to watch some Kumho FIA TCR World Tour racing. They've been entertained, aerial displays with track displays. In fact, I think we went online a little bit early on YouTube, so you may have seen a bit of those displays before we came on air, and it really is incredible. Air temperature down to 27 degrees, track temperature at 32 degrees centigrade, and around 33% humidity. There was talk, rumour, possibility that some weather would be coming in. I don't think we need to worry about that one for this final 30-minute endeavour for our touring car stars. It's going to be dry. It's not quite as warm as we've seen previously this weekend, but the heat will be ramped up considerably by the driving talents on track. Final race of the weekend, last opportunity to score the big points. We've got a bit of a break until we go racing again. Next time up, we're at the Valencia circuit back in Europe on the 13th to the 15th of June. So if you scratch it, bang it, dent it or bump it, got a bit of time to repair it. Never a wise idea to tell a touring car driver that one, because they tend to come back in with body panels missing. But we'll cross that bridge in a few moments' time as we're having a look at the drivers just preparing. If you didn't watch race 2, I do implore you to go and do that one at the conclusion of this broadcast. It was an absolute cracker. Esteban Gurrieri just hobbling over the line to take the race victory in an almost photo finish from Jan Elishay, and Aurelien Comte scoring a podium on his TCR World Tour debut. Fantastic performance from the French driver in SP competition with the Cupra VZ. We expect to see more from Aurelien Comte as this race concludes, because let's remember, this is a reverse grid for this event. Now, unlike usual Kumho FIA TCR World Tour regulations, a 3-race weekend. What that means is, in qualification, Q2 sets the grid for race number 1. We had that one. It was a great race. Race number 2 won by Ted Bjork after penalisations for Jan Elishay. Race number 2, the grid was set by reversing the top 10 from race 1. And that race, as I've just mentioned, was won by Esteban Gurrieri. This race, the grid is set by the points from qualifying, race 1 and race 2. Seeing as this is the first round of the championship, that's basically championship order. And as you can see, Esteban Gurrieri is an early leader of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Will that help him on the run down to T1? No, it will not. As Jan Elishay mentioned in the pre-show, it's a long run down to that first corner. We've seen plenty of action all weekend long at that particular pinch point. It's going to be very, very important that our drivers make their way through. Aurelien Comte shown this season and previous that he's good off of the line. That Cupra seems to be relatively handy from a rolling start. Standing start, should I say. Aurelien Comte, he's got an opportunity. Starting from 5th on the grid, ahead of him are quote-unquote big-name drivers in the World Tour, established stars, drivers that have been there and done that. So he has got a challenge on his hands. But for Aurelien, for the French driver, really, opportunity is there to be taken. Marchinquois, he's had a pair of 6th place finishes so far this race. He was much more in the mix of things in race number 2. Eventually faded slightly towards the end. Mar will be hoping another solid haul of points can come his way from this 3rd race, because again, early stages of the championship, 20 races will take us all the way through to Macau in November to end our season. Points are incredibly important for these drivers. We often focus on the headline performance. We often focus on the superstars, the overtakers, the winners, the podium finishers. But in reality, history books care not one jot for that. Championship scores care not one iota. They care about whoever has the most points at the end of the season. If you acquire those through wins or podiums or top 10s, still points, and they still tot up at the end of the day. So consistency is going to be a friend of our drivers, and let's take a look at our starting grid. It is Esteban Gurrieri from Ted Bjork on the front row, Jan Elishay, Santiago Marrutia on row 2. In 5th position, Aurelien Comte alongside Marchinquois, Michel Jourdain Jr. and Rodrigo Rejon, a 7th and 8th position. Nacho Montenegro will start from 9th. He's got John Filippi for company, Bebu Girolami and Mikel Afkona 11th and 12th, with Norbert Mikulis 13th, making it a very bad weekend for BRC. Julio Rodrigon in 14th position, Cesati in position number 15. 16th is Creel, alongside him is Creventes. In 18th is Zanella, 19th will be Nieto. 20th position is Jimenez. In 21st is going to be Diaz. In 22nd is Cesate with Dominguez, and then rounding out the field is car number 7, the M&M Racing Honda Civic Type R, FK7 TCR. And now then, folks, depending on where you are in the world, we realise the time difference is somewhat different in Mexico to Europe, so it's probably quite late at night for a lot of our viewers, or very early in the morning. Wherever you are in the world, watching on TCR TV on YouTube, the warmest of warm welcomes. If it's early, if it's late, or even if it's the middle of the day, I can almost guarantee this race is going to be a very good use of your time. Race 1 was good, race 2 was exceptional. Race number 3 could be all of the above and more. And this is why we love live sport. This is why we love live motor racing. We have more questions than which we have answers to. And the only way to find those answers are going to be by watching this 30-minute race, plus 1 lap through to its conclusion. Can Guerrieri convert pole position into a second race victory of the weekend? Will the likes of Ted Bjork and Jan Ellershey be able to do something about those drivers ahead of them? Ted Bjork already has a victory to his name. Despite Jan Ellershey being the one that crossed the line first, it was Ted Bjork that was given the race victory, following a 10-second penalisation in race 1 for Ellershey passing off of the racing surface against his teammate Santiago Urrutia. Bjork, rich vein of form coming into this season, had a great year in 2024. Took himself 3 race victories at Mid-Ohio, in Uruguay and at Macau to finish second in the driver's standings. And it looks like the experienced Swedish star has very much picked up from where he left off in 2024 and has had a great start to his campaign. Second on the grid. That run, as I've mentioned, down into T1 is going to be very important. But for Ted, he's got a complication / benefit, depending on which side you look at it, that he's got 2 teammates directly behind him. Ellershey heading up row number 2 alongside Santiago Urrutia. So Ted Bjork, he has to fight Esteban Guerrieri, but he needs to be deeply mindful indeed that any half measure overtakes, any failed attempts to make a way past, is just going to open an oh so inviting door for Jan Ellershey behind. Anybody who's watched touring cars knows Jan Ellershey does not get invited twice to the party. He's almost immediately there on first opportunity. Difficult times for Ted Bjork. Santiago Urrutia, he's had a quiet but effective start to his season. Second in race 1, 5th in race number 2. He'd dearly like to get on the podium again, and ideally like to be the lead of our 4 Lincoln Co. Cyan racing machines. That sounds simple on paper. In execution, it's probably the hardest job in tin top touring car racing. Such a competitive proposition, a Lincoln Co. Cyan racing. I'd normally say the same about BRC Hyundai and Squadra Corsa, but their day, their weekend isn't quite going to plan. Never, ever, ever discount that team though. Incredible drivers, outstanding organisation, a fabulous car. They're always capable of dragging out a performance when needs be, and it's going to be fascinating to see if Bebu Girolami, Mikel Afkona and Norbert Mikulis in 11th, 12th and 13th places respectively can pull the proverbial rabbit out of the hat and score big for the final time this weekend before we head back to Europe all the way over in the middle of June. A nervous calm then descends upon the grid here in Mexico. It's the final time this weekend that we're going to say this one, but buckle up folks, buckle your seatbelts, because we're about to go racing once again. The last 2 cars are lining up on the grid there. That is the M&M Honda that I mentioned earlier, getting himself in position. Lovely livery actually on that Honda, very striking. So here we go, touring car fans rejoice. Best time of the day is upon us right here and right now at the back of the grid. the green flag waves. All 24 TCR cars are lined up on the grid, and in a few moments' time, the lights will go out and we will be racing for round 3 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. And that is an horrendous start for Jan Elishay in the middle of the pack. He was hoping for a good run down into T1. He got a slow start from the line, but Esteban Gurrieri converts pole position into the early advantage. That's a great start from Gurrieri. Just behind him is Ted Bjork in the Lincoln Co. There is Aurelien Comte already up in the 3rd position. And as I see 2 more Lincoln Co's climbing over the bike, everybody makes his way through. T1 relatively straightforward. This little chicane has been the pinch point previously, and one of our BRC Hyundai N Squadron Corsa cars, I think it was, went off onto the gravel. They're back onto the racetrack though, so no harm, no foul. But at the head of the field is Gurrieri from Bjork, then Aurelien Comte, and just behind is the rest of the pack. Michel Jourdain Jr. getting very interested indeed into the rear of Nacho Montenegro. Who was that? That was one of our BRC cars off of the racetrack. We're going to pick it up a little bit later. Can't make out the name, no number on that one. It's Mikel Azcona. Oh dear, Mikel Azcona. His weekend goes from negative to negative story. It has not worked out well for Azcona. They see Bebu Girolami and Norbert Michelis still on the racetrack, so they're doing okay. But for Mikel, the young Spanish driver, it is all falling apart once again. Rodrigo Rejon trying to find a way past Michel Jourdain Jr. Just behind them, that is the number 168 machine trying to find his way past Jan Elishay. What a nightmare start for Jan. Things are not working out very nicely at all off of the line, but the car looks undamaged, so Elishay has a recovery drive ahead of him down there in 9th place. It is certainly not over yet for the French driver, but it is not the star of the race he would have wanted. That is Norbert Michelis, our reigning champion. He's up in a 12th position, found a way past teammate Bebu Girolami, lost 1 overall, but gained 1 on the inter-team Hyundai battle, as now to the inside Aurelien Comte defending from Santiago Urrutia. Urrutia has no recourse whatsoever to find a way past Comte. Very, very, very disturbed the car on the curb there. Manages to keep it running and in a straight line, but he's vulnerable now. This is going to be the opportunity. This is the chance Santiago Urrutia is looking for. Has the inside line, tries to force the issue. Comte has the line covered. Urrutia looks to the outside. That'll become the inside again for the next section of corners. But French driver Aurelien Comte is wise to that particular manoeuvre. Tries to keep the door shut, fails to keep the door shut. What a move from Santi Urrutia. Did not want to give that one up at all, and Aurelien Comte was caught napping somewhat in the early stages. Fantastic pass there from Santiago Urrutia, really committed. It looked like the opportunity had passed up the Uruguayan driver, but Urrutia in absolutely zero mood to hold back at this moment in time. He's wanting to go with teammate Ted Bjork as soon as possible. Comte has a look to the inside. Absolutely no space for a TCR touring car on that occasion. And Urrutia holds on to the position. That opens the door potentially for Marcin Huard to get very interested indeed. While we're watching this one, I can confirm Mikel Azcona has gone down pit lane and into retirement. So that's a real shame for Mikel. And there we go, exactly on cue. That is the rather forlorn-looking BRC Hyundai N Squadron Corsa machine. Not a great start to their weekend. What a great start, though, it is at the front of the field. Look at this one. All of our cars fanning out, trying to find a little bit of real estate for the run down into T1. That's Aurelien Comte under massive, massive pressure from Marcin Huard. The Chinese driver will be rather enthusiastic about trying to find a way past and not let his 2 Lincoln Co Scion Racing teammates get too far ahead. Nacho Montenegro has a decent start as well, up there in 6th position for the Argentine driver. Just shows a nose oh so briefly to Marcin Huard, but take some advice, Nacho. I've been around the World Tour a little bit longer than you have. If you're going to show a nose to Mar, make sure you're firmly at the inside or expect it to be slammed very heavily in your face. Marcin Huard doing a grand job so far. In 5th position, 1 gained from his starting spot. Has got a brace of 6th place finishes so far this weekend. But I would very much like to improve on that one. By how many? That remains the question. As again, we'll take another look. Mikel Azcona, and I'm afraid to say that is day done for the Spanish driver and Italian team. So here we go then, let's have another look at this fight. Aurelien Comte doesn't have the pace at this moment in time, it doesn't seem. Doing a good job in 4th position. that Cupra doesn't look quite as comfortable, doesn't look quite as fast at these early stages of the race of some of those drivers around him. Kumho does have a comfortable 7/10 of a second, almost 8/10 of a second benefit between himself and marching Kumho behind. That one's going to be eradicated very quickly indeed, but look at this, look at Nacho Montenegro, look at the aggressive body language of that Honda, tries to find the inside line, that one's been covered, elects to go around the outside. Will he get it done on the brakes? No. Marching Kumho a little bit later, he's going to run Nacho out of the room, but no, Nacho Montenegro elbows out in very fine style. Anything you can do, I can do better, says Montenegro, and he takes that position away. Fantastic move, up in a 5th place. Mar back down to 6th position again. Well, let's take another look at this race start. Terrible start there for Jan Elishay. Fantastic drone shots here. Elishay getting swallowed up by the field. Thankfully for the French driver, he avoids any kind of contact with any of the other cars around him. So that is still a very clean Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing. But you can just see initial line bogs down off of the line, doesn't get a car in the perfect rev range. And unfortunately, if you do anything less than 100% in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, then you will find yourself being swallowed up by the pack around you. That is the story of the day for Jan Elishay. Let's have a look from Norbert Michaelis' point of view. Relatively robust start for the number 105, our double champion. Unfortunately for Norby, Jan had already got the car pretty much up the road by the time they got there, and Michaelis doing reasonable work in 13th position. That car just doesn't have the pace this weekend. I think it's going to be a hard slog for Norby for the rest of this race. 23 minutes then, 24 seconds left on the clock. It's Esteban Gurrieri from Ted Bjork, Santiago Rutia, Aurelian Comp, and then a rather enthusiastic Nacho Montenegro, trying very hard indeed to break the slipstream to marching Kumho behind him. A little bit further back we roll on down, and this is a great drop fight. Michel Jourdain Jr. and Rodrigo Rejon, and there is John Filippi. John currently in 10th position, having a reasonable start to life at SP competition. But we all know that John Filippi is a very, very quick TCR touring car driver. I only expect to see that Frenchman getting faster and faster as he gets more precious mileage and experience behind the wheel of the Cupra Leon VZ. It's more embedded in the SP competition team. We'll expect to see John Filippi fighting much closer to the front of the field. I'm absolutely sure as our season progresses. From one blue car to another, this is the Lincoln Co. duo. Marching Kumho, Jan Elishay just behind. 6th and 7th position, Nacho Montenegro. Relatively clear of these two, but this is going to be a fine test of how much pressure Nacho Montenegro can absorb. He's Mar at the moment, but it's Elishay to the inside. Chinese driver doesn't defend too hard as they go through the stadium section. That's a very workmanlike pass for Jan Elishay. Gets the job done very effectively, minimises the time loss, and if race 2 is anything to go by, Elishay has prodigious amounts of pace in that car. He's incredibly quick in clean air, so I expect to see the gap between himself and Montenegro closing up very, very quickly indeed. We'll keep our eye on that one. Last time across the line, Nacho Montenegro with his best lap of the day, 1 minute 35.722. I don't think that's going to be enough though to hold off the charge of the Lincoln Co's behind. We'll keep our eyes on that one as we take a little look at what John Filippi's been up to. Still in 10th position, but very much involved in the fight. Filippi's got Carlos Asati just behind him, Rodrigo Rejon just in front. So two of our Mexican running drivers doing absolutely fabulous work indeed. In fact, yes, that is Rejon just ahead still of John Filippi. So two Cupra Leon VZ cars, very, very similar, different teams of course, running different championships. The Mexicans tend to run more endurance style races than sprints, so this is a bit of a step into the unknown for our TCR Mexico competitors. And let me just say right here and now, the level of quality of these teams and drivers has been deeply, deeply impressive all weekend long for TCR Mexico. It's a very, very young championship, but credit needs to go where credit is due, and they've done a fabulous job in their short time in existence, and they're absolutely showing the world stage. TCR Mexico is a very good quality championship with some fabulous drivers in it, not least of which is Rodrigo Rejon, who's still fighting John Felipe. They had a small change of position, coming back as you were once again. Here we go, and then as the field runs down into T1, it's quieting down a little bit at the front of the pack. 2.1 seconds now is the advantage Esteban Gurrieri enjoyed over Ted Bjork. We can see that car 105, Norbert Michaelis, is under investigation for cutting T2 in lap 1. Often it's a bit challenging in lap 1 conditions, and no more so challenging than that man Mikel Azcona. Heart has to go out to Mikel Azcona. Normally we'd expect to see that car fighting leads for track position. Not on this occasion. Mikel back out of pit lane again, so they've remedied, or potentially remedied, whatever problems they discovered with that Hyundai Elantra N TCR. And now it's a glorified testing session for Azcona and team. Making sure everything's okay, seeing what they can learn, because you may wonder why. Why would you go on track when you're already multiple laps down? The more mileage you get, the more learning you do. The more learning you do, the more knowledge you have that you can use to your advantage further down the road. So well worth getting the running in for Mikel Azcona. What are we having a look at here? Oh, around we go on his own. Andreas Orea. Heavy contact with the wall as well, which is really, really unfortunate there for Orea. Hopefully that car can get up and running again, or at the very least stays out of harm's way and lets us continue running under green flag conditions with 18 minutes, 38 seconds plus 1 lap on the clock. It's been a relatively exciting start to this race, but now we're getting into that phase where our drivers are starting to bed down a little bit, understand where the balance and the strengths and weaknesses of their respective cars are and of those around them. And unfortunately, folks, as I feared, it is safety car conditions as Orea's stranded Audi is recovered by the marshals here in Mexico. And as always, I always enjoy doing this one, and they very much deserve it. A big shout out to the marshals here of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, and marshals all around the world. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for what the marshals do out there on the tracks, keeping us all safe, making sure everything is under control and it's good to go racing. Often in difficult conditions, almost always without recognition. It is wonderful, wonderful stuff, and the marshals here have been fantastic all weekend long. I'm sure it won't take long to get that stranded Audi out of the way. In fact, the graphics suggested it was a rail last time, but actually I do think that could be the number 43 of Cesarte. We'll find that one out. The Cesarte Racing VP Garage number 34, Roberto behind the wheel. There we go again. It is the number 43, so that is correct. Roberto Cesarte, the team that carries the family name, unfortunately says goodbye relatively early in proceedings here in Mexico City, and gives our drivers a blessed opportunity to relax, relatively speaking, for a few moments. But anybody who's done any kind of racing at home, you often know when you're in the heat of the battle, the adrenaline kicks in, you don't feel the uncomfortable aspects of being in the car, or the heat, or the noise, or the smells. It's only when you go under safety car conditions, just the heat sink coming, do you then start to feel all of the compromises and inconveniences that you find in a race car. And sometimes, if you're not quite prepared for that one, that's really when it becomes quite difficult as a sportsman to go from relaxed pose to back into aggressive racing pose again when we go green flag. Probably not going to be a problem for our World Tour drivers, it has to be said. This is, quite frankly, the very best of the best out on track, but it's still an added difficulty and complication nevertheless, especially in temperatures touching 30 degrees centigrade. Very little seems to be happening to the Cesarte Audi, which is disappointing to see. I'm sure they're waiting for the appropriate snatch vehicle to come out there and drag that car away. And for Humberto Cesarte, also very, very disappointing to have found the wall there from a relatively innocuous accident. Rather unfortunate to find one of the concrete retaining walls here in Mexico City, but contact was made and that car is unable to move again under its own steam. So it'll take a short while we get racing conditions back safely running again. And while we do that one, let's take a look at our running order. Esteban Gurrieri, as we well know, he had about a 3-second advantage before this safety car. He's not going to be pleased to see everybody catching up behind him, led by Ted Bjork and Santiago Urrutia. Aurelian Comps in 4th, Nacho Montenegro in 5th, in 6th position, currently held by Jan Elishay, so that's been a good recovery drive, hasn't it, from Jan? Remember, he got the horrendous start from the second row of the grid, but already he's managed to clear a few cars, including teammate Marcin Quard directly behind in 7th position. Rodrigo Rejon is in 9th, John Filippi in 10th, that is Carlo Sassati 11th, and everybody else on down. We've got 22 cars of the 24 that started still running in this race. And I think, with the exception of Humberto Sassati, who will clearly be devastated, probably the most disappointed driver of everybody for his safety car intervention, it's got to be Esteban Gurrieri. Worked that GOAT Racing Honda Civic very, very hard indeed in the opening stint of this race to build a comfortable 3-second cushion. That's all been eradicated now. Let's hope for Esteban that there's still plenty of life left in those Kumho tyres, because it's not going to be an easy job to keep back the duo of Ted Bjork and Santiago Urrutia behind. Norbert Mikulis, one of the big winners from the safety car intervention as well. Norby in 13th position, not great on paper, but at least he's still very much in touch with the cars ahead of him. So Norby has an opportunity to increase his points haul. 3 points. The 13th position are all that's on offer at this moment in time. 3 points from a race meeting. That's not the kind of score that championships do make. So Norby will be looking to stem the flow of negativity that's occurred over the course of this weekend and try and claw back as many of those points as he possibly can. We'll take a quick look at a quick peek inside GOAT Racing Garage. Pepe Ariola on the cans there, just discussing with his team potential strategic manoeuvres, potential tactics off at the start. Yeah, if you're Esteban Gurrieri, you've got one tactic and one tactic only. And that safety car goes away. Pin it, absolutely pin it to the bulkhead, and hope you've done enough to keep Ted Bjork and crew safely in your rear view mirrors. This is good to see then. Snatch vehicle on track now, so hopefully we'll get that Audi out of the way. The clock keeps ticking, unfortunately. In the World Tour, it's a 30-minute plus 1 minute race. We won't be adding any, plus 1 lap race, should I say, sorry. Won't be adding any time to the race distance, so that clock at the top of your screen is going to be down to the wire. Hopefully we can get that Audi cleared very quickly indeed. It's taken a very long time, considering the relatively minor contact that Humberto Sassati had with the wall. Small matter of a field of TCR cars that need to make their way past first before you can even consider moving that car out of the way. And hopefully in the next minute or so we will be safe and we will be good again to go motor racing. So let's have a look then at some of the exciting moments that have occurred in this race so far. Started off the race with Esteban Gurrieri on pole position, made a great start, but the big mover and shaker was Jan Elishay. The problem was, it was moving in the wrong direction. A slow start from the Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing driver dropped Elishay back into the middle of the pack and into the danger zone for the run down into T1. The Frenchman managed to find his way through without too many dramas. The same can't be said from several of our runners further down the order. A few off-track excursions, a little bit of excitement at the front of the pack from Aurelian Compt. He had very much the defensive posture right from the very off. However, when you've got the likes of Santiago Urrutia behind you, no matter how hard you defend, it isn't going to last. Mikel Azcona's tale of woe continued. He was an early visitor to pit lane. That car's back on the racetrack now, thankfully, but out of contention for the big points. At the front of the field, though, the early stages was all about Gurrieri, building a gap to the chasing pack. That gap has been eradicated under safety car conditions, but still Gurrieri leads the pack. Further down, Nacho Montenegro, teammate at GOAT Racing, showing the world at 18 years old that his elbows are just as sharp as anybody else's. A fantastic pass there, and this is the moment that we are under safety car conditions for. Humberto Sassati unfortunately losing the car on his own, making contact with the wall and requiring a safety car intervention while we pull that machine back behind the barriers. We're under live pictures now. You'll be delighted, just as I am, to see the note at the top of the screen that says the safety car will be in this lap. So effectively, Esteban Gurriere is going to take over safety car duties. It will be down to the Argentine driver to decide when to hit the loud pedal. And then we'll go racing again for the final 10 minutes of the first race weekend of the season in 2025 for the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Rounds 1, 2 and 3 of 20. We're going to visit 8 iconic racetracks around the world. Next up is the beautiful Ricardo Tomo circuit in Valencia. Then we go to Monza in Italy. Villarreal, great to have that track on the calendar in Portugal. The Bend in Australia. Inji Speedium in Korea. Zhuzhou International in China. And of course, as is tradition, it couldn't be any other way. In November, we visit Macau to crown our champion and end our 2025 season. Right then, Esteban Gurriere has hit the loud pedal relatively early, but Ted Bjork, immediately aware of that one, goes with him. It is Gurriere that is going to break the timing screens. We're under green flag conditions once again for the final 9 minutes and 1 lap. It's a good restart for the Duck Racing Honda driver. He's pulling a bit of an advantage away. If anything, it's Ted Bjork who's under pressure from Santiago Urrutia behind as we fan down into the first corner. This is the longest straight and run down into T1 pretty much all season long, it feels, and Ted Bjork just about has the line covered. Same can't be said for Aurelian Comp though. That's Nacho Montenegro. Montenegro elects to cut back again, decides not to go all the way around the outside. Just behind him is Mikel Azcona. He's out of contention, he's on a different lap, so discount the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa machine from your mind. He's not racing for position. He's going to get out of the way very nicely indeed. In fact, good stuff there allows Yann Aleshet and Marc Inglois to find a way past. But at the front of the field, just like before the safety car intervention, Esteban Gurriere gets a very nice start indeed. Ted Bjork up on his tippy toes, trying to go with him. Santiago Urrutia, he had a think about that second position, elected better for it, and currently holds third place just ahead of Aurelian Compt, a man of action so far this race, Nacho Montenegro, following very firmly in the wheel tracks of the Cupra, trying to find a way past. But just behind them, that's Marc Inglois, finding his way to the inside of Yann Aleshet. That one's new for the books. Didn't expect that, but that is a very accomplished pass from Mar. And Aleshet, for his troubles, drops down into 7th position and has Michel Jourdain Jr. trying to find a way past behind as well. So Aleshet not quite as happy as perhaps I would have expected on this restart. In fact, there's a little wobble through Peraltada. You don't see that one very often. Michel Jourdain Jr. finds his way past, and Rodrigo Rejon, he's interested. Is this some kind of drama for Yann Aleshet? I think it might be. That car is absolutely not moving at the speed we would have expected it to move at. Yann Aleshet, so far undetermined the reason behind it, but there is certainly some kind of strife aboard that number 168. He is dropping like a stone down the timing tower. While we concentrate on that one, let's have a look at this battle up front. It is Esteban Gurriere still leading. He's got a reasonable gap between himself and Ted Bjork. Aleshet now classed down in 11th position and continuing to drop. As Nacho Montenegro had a little look at the dirt being kicked up from the rear of Aurelian Compt's car. That's not held up Compt enough for Montenegro to really have an interesting way to find a way past. But I would absolutely love to know what is happening with Yann Aleshet. Some kind of issue on board that car. What exactly it is, we don't know. But the end result we do know is Aleshet falling back at an alarming rate. This goes to show, folks, in touring car racing, even when things feel under control, we're only moments away from going very, very wrong indeed. Rodrigo Rejon, John Philippi, 9th and 10th position respectively. Philippi looking equally as lively as he did in the first half of this race, but still unable to find a way past Rodrigo Rejon, who's doing an absolutely incredible job, it has to be said, in the Pro Rally Mothers machine. Himself and brother Julio in 12th place, 2024 TCR Mexico champions, and showing a real level of class over the course of this race. It's very easy to fold in these difficult conditions, or just decide it's not your fight and roll over and let the other cars pass. But the Rejon brothers, both the Rejon brothers, doing very impressive work all the way through this weekend. Jan Elishay, by the way, according to my timing screens, is 11th position, so whatever problem is affecting that Lincoln Co seems to have reduced somewhat over the course of the last lap. Elishay will be desperate to stay in the points paying positions. Cervantes that we're looking at there in the number 88 Censure Silent Petrol Racing Machine, unfortunately comes in the pit lane. It's been a decent weekend for them so far. 2 14th positions in both the races. Unfortunately, 3 is not the magic number for that team. They're going to be looking for an early bath as we again pick up. John Philippi, I think, has basically occupied every square inch of this racetrack, but never at the same time as Rehan, although that could change. The dive to the inside becomes the outside line. Rodrigo Rehan says, thank you very much, you're a very good driver, but I'm not going to let you past. This is my turf, this is my crowd, these are my people. And Rodrigo Rehan using home advantage to a very high standard. Holds on, shall we say, to that position. John Philippi had a good go. Needs to have a bit of a think now how he's going to do that one. Second time of asking. Not an easy job. Fool once, shame on me. Fool twice, shame on you. Great stuff then for Rehan. Oh, that's an open door. John Philippi, air of desperation there. Oh, nearly loses the front end of the Cupra. John Philippi getting a little bit excitable in his attempt to overtake Rodrigo Rehan. Almost ended in disaster, and look at the amount of time that Philippi's lost. And this is what I was saying at the top of the show, folks. If you do half-measure overtakes, if you just show a nose to the inside, but you've not really got a realistic prospect of passing, all you're going to do is hemorrhage time to those around you, and that's exactly what John Philippi did. Speaking of hemorrhaging time, Jan Elishay circulating in 16th position. So the gremlins that have befallen his car are still there to a lesser or greater degree. I'd love to know what the problem is with Jan Elishay's machine. Check out TCR series on social media after the race, and I'm sure we'll tell you that story. But the end result is for Jan, it's been a strong start of his campaign. A third and a second position in the classification. It's not going to be as good this time around, and this is a golden opportunity for the Lincoln Co Cyan Racing boys to stand a little early mark in the proceedings as who's going to be the point driver of the 4 drivers in Lincoln Co Cyan Racing. It's very, very important to get on top of that inter-team battle. And so far, just like last year, or the end of last year at least, Ted Bjork is proven to be the most reliable of the 4 at Lincoln Co Cyan Racing. Currently holding on to second position. Ted's already had a win and a 4th place, another podium. It was very nice indeed, thank you very much. And look a little bit further back, Nacho Montenegro's made the move. Aurelien Comte has put up a stout defence in 4th position, but it could not last. Nacho Montenegro finally finds a way past the 2023 TCR South American champion, 2024 TCR Spain champion. He's showing everybody just why this man is going to be arguably one of the biggest names in touring car racing for at least the next 20 years. He's that good. He's Nacho Montenegro, and at just 18 years of age, there's a lot more to come. But it's been a very, very solid debut on the world stage for Nacho. He'll be delighted with that one. Aurelien Comte put up the best defence he possibly can. Looking by the body language of the car, he's not quite given up this one yet either, as Comte. But I think that is signed, sealed and delivered for Nacho Montenegro. Job now, get the head down, forget about the car in your mirrors, just try and build a little bit of a gap for the young Argentinian driver to minimise any threat from behind. As we're coming to the sunset stage, the golden hour, the magic hour, it's looking resplendent here. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. We're coming to the final few moments of the opening weekend of racing action here in TCR Europe, and what a weekend. What a weekend it has been. I cannot stand the winter when there's no motorsports. Live for these moments, just like you folks do at home, I'm sure. The Kumho FIA TCR World Tour, as always, has delivered very, very fine style indeed, with 3 frantic, dramatic, exciting, drama-filled races. This is only the first weekend of 8. Roll on 2025. So just as predicted there, Nacho Montenegro is actually gapping Aurelian Comte significantly. The body language of the SP Competition Cupra suggests that Aurelian Comte is perhaps not quite as comfortable behind the wheel as he once was. That car looks very, very lively indeed. And while Comte is struggling to keep the car pointing in the right direction, that allows Marchinquois an opportunity. Mar already has a brace of 6th place finishes under his belt. Probably doesn't fancy a 3rd, probably would fancy a 5th position instead for the final race of the day. The Chinese driver certainly looks aggressive, but the problem is, we know Aurelian Comte can defend, and we know that we're on the final lap, so opportunity to find a way past is reducing rapidly for the number 155 of Marchinquois. Not helped somewhat by a slightly faster lap last time around, but still not quite fast enough. 4/10 quicker than the French driver in front. The lap times count for little. It's track position. Will Mar throw it to the inside? Comte thinks he might do. A little bit late covering the inside line for the French driver, it has to be said. I'm sure the stewards will have a little look at that one. But so far it was very effective indeed. Mar's favoured passing place through the Sector 1 complex. He's now through and out, so danger averted. First time I'm asking for Comte. There's going to be another couple of very tasty looking overtaking opportunities, but he's still got to defend. But I think Mar is rapidly falling into the territory of a man that if he's going to make a move, it's maybe going to be laden with a little bit more risk than he would so desire. And sometimes, folks, discretion is the better part of valour, which is easy for me to say in the commentary box, a heck of a lot harder to execute when out on the racetrack. So here we are then. It is the final lap of the race. We've not seen much of Esteban Gurriere on account of him being rather fabulous out on racetrack, building up a gap not once but twice, survived the safety car, survived the start that he struggled so much with in race 1 and the onslaught of the Lincoln Co cars behind. But Esteban Gurriere, a flash of the lights, will take the checkered flag and win round 3 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour here in Mexico. 3 races, 2 wins, and Pepe Oriola enjoyed that a great deal, it has to be said, and so he should. What a performance from Esteban Gurriere. Ted Bjork, brilliant drive once again from Ted to cross the line in 2nd position. Santiago Urrutia makes up the bottom step of our provisional podium. Nacho Montenegro and Aurelian Comte to 4th and 5th, and then it's Marchinquois rounding out the top 6. Michel Jourdain Jr. once again is the front runner of our TCR Mexico regulars. Rodrigo Reyon finishes in 8th, John Felipe 9th, and Julio Reyon rounds out our top 10 runners. As the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa, Norbert Mikulis is the first one home in 12th, just ahead of Nestor Girolami. And of course we saw Mikhail Kona in strife earlier on. He finishes a distant 22nd. Jan Aleshe did make it to the line at the end in 16th position. So not the points haul that Jan Aleshe would have been looking for, but it's all smiles, all eyes, and all attention turned very firmly onto that man, Esteban Gurriere. 3 races, 2 race victories. You can't get better than that one for Esteban Gurriere, can you? What a start to his season. 4th in race 1, victory in race 2, victory in race 3 for a reasonably commanding championship lead after our first weekend of racing. Fabulous stuff from Esteban Gurriere. The GOAT team as well will be delighted with their other new charge, Nacho Montenegro, stepping up onto the world stage. First weekend for GOAT racing. He finishes the final race in 4th position. Didn't start quite as well, to say the least, as Nacho would have been hoping for. DNF in race 1, 7th was solid in race 2, and 4th was even better again. More big things to come, I'm certain, for Nacho Montenegro. Well, what a wonderful, wonderful performance from all of our drivers. Takes a while to knock off the cobwebs after a long winter. Some of these teams have been out testing, some slightly less so. But there's nothing, absolutely nothing, can compare to the learnings you get during an actual live motor race. I think the test has been passed with flying colours. Do you not agree with Esteban Gurriere? Arm out of the window. Half of that wants to celebrate with the crowd, the other half is to cool himself down. It's rather warm in Mexico, it has to be said. Esteban Gurrieri, though, won't feel any of that whatsoever. Straight onto the ride. Great shots, but as a mechanic, I'm sure they'll be thinking, please don't do that one. I've got to hammer that paddle back out again now for Valencia. Look at that, Esteban Gurrieri. Vamos. What a performance for Esteban. What a weekend. Really incredible driver. As Alex Le Guy mentioned on the grid to start this race, it's forever the Neely man, but never the champion. Well, I think Esteban Gurrieri might feel a little bit more inspired at the end of this weekend, and 2025 could well be his year. Touring car mainstay, of course, spent a little bit of time in sports cars, but I'm sure the less said about that adventure, the better for Esteban Gurrieri. And he's back again in fine style and showing the world just what a class competitor he is. Michel Jourdain Jr., we just see taking the helmet off there, having another great race, 7th position overall, and although he's classified under the World Tour rankings, he's the first home of our Mexican drivers. Ted Bjork, another beautiful drive from Ted. Very old school touring car driver, Ted Bjork, and we absolutely love him for it. He adores his racing. Every single time I chat to Ted, regardless of the conversation topic, it usually reverts to how much he absolutely loves racing and how happy he is to be racing at the absolute pinnacle of touring cars. And I've got more respect for that man than you could possibly imagine for that attitude. I absolutely love what we do. And Ted Bjork loves it more than most. And it comes through in his driving, doesn't it? Really, really strong performance again for Ted. Another podium, another trophy. And if you didn't watch races 1 and 2, the trophies here are absolutely delicious in Mexico. So it's definitely one that you're going to want to pick up. If you're going to take a trophy anywhere this season, Mexico's the place to do it, because there are some incredible visuals to be had. As our drivers now getting out of the car, hands, head and neck safety device off, helmets off, balaclavas off, gloves off. Trust me, they probably could do with a shower and maybe put some shorts on. Would be ideal, but small match for the podium first. Right then, let's take a look at our provisional results for round 3 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Esteban Gurrieri by a nip under 2 seconds from Ted Bjork and Santiago Urrutia. Nacho Montenegro, Aurelien Comte and Marcinkoir are your top 6 finishers. Then it's Michel Jourdain Jr., Rodrigo Rejon, John Felipe and Julio Rejon rounding out the top 10 runners. Carlo Zassati finishes 11th from Norbert Michaelis and Bebu Girolami. Then in 14th position, Perez de Lara and then Zanella in 15th, all the way down to 24 cars. Unfortunately, 22 finished the race. And before we go any further, I think let's head down to Alex Le Guy, who's got your race winner to talk to.
Well, he did it. Esteban Gurrieri takes the top spot once again. What a fantastic race that was. Kumho FIA TCR World Tour Race 3, done and dusted, Esteban. That's more like it.
Beautiful, beautiful race. The car, I told the guys, probably was one of the best cars I drove in touring cars since a while. Because, I mean, I was just managing the pace. Obviously, we didn't have the problem with the tire this race. The safety car helped a little bit as well. I think still, without the safety car, my tires would have lasted, so we did a good change in between race 2 and race 3. So beautiful. I love being here in Mexico. Gracias a todos los fans. Gracias, estuvo espectacular todo el fin de semana. Magic weekend, thank you.
I tell you what though, that safety car it did help you, but it could have hindered you, couldn't it? Because it really put the pack up, and we know how strong the Lincoln Co Siren Racings are.
True, because I saw Ted pushing quite a lot after the safety car the next 2 laps. I was a little bit surprised that he had something left in the pocket, so I had to push as well, you know. Okay, I was pushing, but I didn't want to find the problem that we got in race 2. So yeah, it was a little bit of a tight moment, but yeah, we managed it well. And then I saw that after 2 laps, after the safety car, Ted give up. So I just cruised to the checkered flag. So yeah, great feeling for all the guys. It was, I mean, this is still amazing. So enjoying.
Cruise to the checkered flag. You also end the weekend at the top of the World Tour a lovely 95 points. That puts you in very good stead ahead of Valencia next round.
Yes, first time we finished a weekend of TCR World Tour with GOAT Racing leading the championship, so that's something to remember. And of course, we are not getting in the comfort zone with this. You know, we want to keep going. We are gonna work a lot for Valencia. Of course, we're gonna suffer because of the compensation weight. We are gonna have 40 kilos in the car, but that's part of the game. We know how it works and try to maximize in Valencia. We are not gonna be in the top step most probably, but try to score good points. And yeah, the championship is very long, so now to enjoy. Let's enjoy this moment, and then we think for Valencia. Gracias México, gracias a todos.
Great result. Congratulations, Esteban. Congratulations to GOAT Racing. Enjoy the party later. And Michel Jourdain is here once again. Home hero does it again for the fans who did come out in droves.
Yes, so happy for the guys at Peralta Racing Team, you know. Of course, when you are in the car and these guys are pulling away from you, it's a little frustrating, but considering, you know, first weekend that we use these tires, first time I drive the car with slicks, and I think considering everything, we have to be really proud, and racing at home with so many fans and the family here I'm very happy.
Very good work. Muy bien. Get up to the podium.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much, Alex Le Gui, down there in Parc Ferme talking to our race winner. And Esteban Gurrieri used some words that I enjoyed a great deal. This weekend has been magic. Could not agree more. Look at those beautiful shots that we're seeing as we're falling now into the evening in Mexico. The temperature is, for an Englishman, much more bearable than it was at the start of the weekend. But what is bearable is those championship standings for GOAT Racing and Esteban Gurrieri. 12 points is the advantage after our first weekend of racing. Ted Bjork, Santiago Urrutia in second and third position. Aurélien Comte, for me, has been one of the stars of the weekend. Fourth in the standings on debut for team and driver in the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. Fabulous performance from them. Yam Alaché really hurt him. Did the problem in the final race. He drops all the way down to fifth position. Only 36 points though, covering our top five, and there's 20 races in the calendar season. Plenty of action. And speaking of plenty of action, let's have a quick look at some of the highlights from the race that you've just enjoyed. Absolutely superb scenes then. On track, in the garages and in the paddock as well. Fabulous racing all the way through. Some standout performances that I'm sure we'll enjoy unpicking over the days and weeks ahead. But before we do that one, let's have a look at the podium then for round 3 of the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. And this will be a happy podium, folks. I'm almost certain. There we go, right on cue. That's a rather pleased looking Santiago Urrutia. The podium from your first weekend of the season is always a great way to kickstart your campaign. Ted Bjork.
And the winner
Another man
again
who should
from
be
Goat
very happy
Racing is
indeed with second
Esteban
position.
Guerrieri.
He needs to trademark that love heart sign, doesn't he, Ted? Fabulous stuff. And then Esteban Guerrieri, not for the first time this weekend, takes the
And
rather humongous leap
representing Goat
up onto the number one
Racing
spot.
is Marc Ribas.
And he loves that one as well, of course, does Esteban Guerrieri, an Argentine driver, Spanish speaker. Very, very popular
And our
with the home
fastest
crowd as
Mexican
well.
once again is Michel Jourdain.
And another trophy for Goat Racing, and there is Michel Jourdain Jr. Very pleased as well with his day's work, and so he should be. I think he undersold himself a little bit in
And
the
now
interview
for
with
the
Alex
national
Legui.
anthem of our winning
But
driver.
before we get into that one, let's have a listen to the Argentine national anthem. Fantastic stuff. Then a round of applause for our top three drivers.
Third position trophy
And let's
to
have these
Lincoln Co.
beautiful
Cyan Racing
trophies.
Santi Urrutia.
Frank Mastro, journalist here in Mexico, awards the trophy
the
to
CEO of the
Santi
FIA
Urrutia. Look at that one,
TCR
beautiful
World
pot
Tour
there.
Will,
And the
Marcello
World Tour
Lotti
trophy as well.
will present the second position trophy.
And he is the man
to
that makes
Lincoln
all
Co.
these
Cyan
things
Racing's
possible.
Ted Bjork.
Kumho FIA TCR World Tours, Marcello Lotti, the man that is essentially touring car racing.
The General
Hands out those
Director of
trophies
Autodromo
to Ted
Hermanos
Bjork. He enjoys that, does
Rodriguez
Ted, I am
Ramon
absolutely
Osorio
certain.
will present the winning trophy to Goat Racing's Esteban Guerrieri.
Here is our winning trophy, Ramon Osorio, General Director, Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez Circuit. And thank you very much to this circuit for producing
Content
three incredible
creator
racers
Fer
and being
Egiza will
so
present
accommodated to the World
the
Tour
winning
this
team
weekend.
trophy to our team representative of Goat Racing, Marc Ribas.
Here we go then for Goat Racing. A very young team, Goat Racing. Came into the World Tour last year. Fresh team, brand new, from scratch. And already they have got quite the enviable collection of trophies. They're going to need a bigger workshop at this rate, I
And the
think.
president of the
Very
National
quickly becoming
Circuit Commission,
massively
Alfredo
massively
Guzman,
impressive
will present
in TCR touring cars.
our fastest Mexican driver, Michel Jourdain.
And there we go, Michel Jourdain Jr. once again taking home some trophies. And looks very pleased with himself as well. Fabulous to see Michel Jourdain Jr. back
Brilliant
in the TCR
drives,
car on the
boys.
world
Please come
stage.
together for your official
Had a small
photograph.
season in 2007 in the World Touring Car Championship, but of course perhaps best known to racing historian aficionados like myself as a bit of a champ car driver over in the United States. IndyCar as it's now called, of course. Spent several years in Indy, taking a couple of race victories as well. The Michel Jourdain Jr.
Ready for
Very,
champagne?
very versatile driver. As a man coming up to 50 years of age at
Let's
48,
party.
still looks good and still drives very, very well indeed. As he's shown, would not be amiss as a full-timer, I must say, in the World Tour. Hopefully we can see more of him as the champagne in time-honoured fashion is sprayed, and Esteban Guerrieri is the man that's going to be absolutely drowned in the sparkly stuff.
Congratulations
one
to all of
iota,
our boys.
because when you've got
Muchas
champagne stink on
gracias.
you,
We have
you've either had a very big night
absolutely loved
out,
our time here
or
in
you've just
Mexico.
finished on the
From
podium
us all at
in
the
a motor
Kumho
race.
FIA TCR World Tour.
Absolutely
We
fantastic
cannot wait
stuff.
to
Don't
come
go
back
anywhere.
here
In a few
again.
moments' time, TCR
Gracias.
Mexico podium will be up again. But for our World Tour drivers, their work is done. Their weekend is complete. Debrief, de-rig, catch a flight home, and then reconfigure the mindset for when we head over to the circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia on the weekend of the 13th to the 15th of June for our next round. Don't go anywhere, don't miss that one. It's going to be absolutely fabulous, I am certain. Another 3-race festival. There have been a mix of different formats over the course of this season. We're doing 3 in Valencia, 2 races in Monza and Villarreal, and then back to 3 again for Australia and Korea before we go back to the 2-race format for the Zhuzhou International Circuit in China. And of course, magical, marvellous, mesmeric and wonderful Macau. That ends our season. Never a better place for a touring car has there ever been. Absolutely adore Macau. It's a wonderful, wonderful part of the world. Fabulous racetrack and perfectly fitting way to end a touring car championship. Because you do all the hard work in the season in touring cars, folks, and then you play the lottery and you go to Macau. We've seen many championships over the years, won or lost at that place. But for now, it is all about Esteban Gurriere. There is the provisional results. Once again, big caveat on that one. It is provisional, of course, until stewards and investigations have been had and technical checks have been made. But here we go then for our podium for our TCR Mexico drivers. You can hear the crowd are very excited about this one. Indeed, actually, it has to be said. And I think it's fair to say that the likes of Pablo Perez and Dilema that we saw on there, and all of our TCR Mexico competitors can be very, very proud of themselves indeed. It's been wonderful. It's been a privilege and an honour to join TCR Mexico this weekend. The promoters, the championship, the organisers, the circuit, everybody involved have been massively accommodated to the Kumho FIA TCR World Tour. It's been an absolute pleasure to be alongside them. And we've seen from several drivers that their ability and their racecraft and their level is very, very high indeed. Carlos is starting there, taking the pot, taking the trophy for the victory in TCR Mexico. The reason why, by the way, in case you were wondering, of course, is that there are 14 Kumho FIA TCR World Tour drivers, because a couple of the Mexico drivers have moved over into the World Tour for this weekend, including Michel Journet Jr., Julio Rayon and Rodrigo Rayon as well. So they're invisible to the TCR Mexico classification. And look at that. Loving the time on the world stage, and so they should. Fabulous performance from those 3. Fabulous performance from the entire field. But the big winners, folks, not Esteban Gurriere. It's us people that enjoyed those races. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. So as we come to the end of the show then, another quick reminder. Again, Valencia, 13th to the 15th of June. If you're not subscribed to TCR TV, subscribe now so you don't miss a thing. Catch us all, TCR Series, on social media. But from Alex Legui on pit lane and on the track, from myself, Paul Jeffrey, in the commentary box, and to all of us involved in this production, thank you for watching. Your company means the world. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Take care and goodbye.